Hey guys, Mo Crawler. So today we're doing some work on Sky Knight because I knew that he was underdamped whenever he went out to the canyon for the Touristas episode. I knew I had him slightly underdamped, but I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was, good enough. And I think Mr. C even commented on the fact that he was underdamped, but I didn't think it was crazy. So we were going with it. He's been out a couple of times since then. I think maybe three times, just for some light rock crawling. And I mean, I don't even think I've run a full pack through him. Each of the three times he's been out has probably been for between 15 and 30 minutes per session. So I don't think. So we're talking like a quarter of a pack or something like that through him each time. So I don't even think he's had a full battery pack run through him since he's been back from the canyon. And in in you know those sessions, I mean, this is this is underdamped. It's like wildly underdamped. I mean, they just slam back down, which is too much. The other thing is, I have added these rear SSD weights on the back side. So to me, that seems pretty good. And this deluxe shock actually has 40 weight in it. That seems pretty good to me. That's still a bit underdamped. It's better than the fronts. So the fronts, because I've been doing some experimentation here, I couldn't remember what oil I had in them, right? So in this shock, we have 30 weight, this stuff. So I took them, I've had both of these off so far. This one has 40 weight, okay? So 40 weight to me feels appropriate. It feels good, right? It feels like that's probably what it ought to have in it. So we're going to go back and take this guy back off because that was the first one that I started to experiment with. And I put 30 weight in there thinking that that would probably be good. And when I pulled them apart, what came out was blue. So I couldn't remember what was in there, but it was 20 weight. So I would say 20 weight is underdamped, and we need some more damping than what we're getting currently. Okay, so if you're not rebuilding the shock, if all you're doing is changing the oil, you can just unscrew the cap, and these shocks don't have near enough time on them to need to be rebuilt. This packs are fine, the seal packs are fine. Everything about this shock is doing just fine. But we're going to pour that out. This is the 30 weight that I put in here to replace the 20 weight that we found out was in there, because I couldn't remember what I had put in these. But I underestimated. These are the 4-hole pistons, so I think that's why if these were the 3 holes, the 30 probably would be sufficient. But with the 4 holes, we need this 40 weight. So we're going to fill this thing up like 3/4 of the way, almost all the way, and we're just going to cycle it. Make sure you don't shove your piston and shaft all the way up through, because you don't want it to create more air bubbles than you need to get rid of. And then I'm going to run it up about halfway, maybe a little more than half. I'm just going to fill it up. Take our bladder, kind of hold it in place, and then just let that shaft go down, and that's going to suction that whole thing in there. And see, we've got a nice even around the edge. And this is probably the hardest part, is just getting this cap to go back on very even pressure around the edges. Don't get it hung up in the threads. And then you got to make sure you're not cross-threaded, and then you just tighten her back down. So, pretty simple process. Again, we're not rebuilding it. We're just putting new oil in it. So, and now let's see. Yeah, that's way more damped. So it's far more damp than it was even with a 30 weight. Okay, now let's see how we're damping in the rear end. That's nice. That's nice. That's nice. That's what I'm looking for. I think that's what we needed. It looks like those springs are being helped a little bit now. No, that's perfect. He's sitting perfect. So we are going to now go through the process on the front. One thing that Mr. C did do out at the Canyon is he added some of the preload washers. He mentioned a couple times during the Turistas on this guy that the front end sat too low, so this was his solution, I think. And he also flipped the shocks for me, so which I appreciate. He gave me these standoffs that are very nice, and he moved the, because I had the standoff round balls, I had them like this, right? So these were down here because I had the shocks mounted traditionally. He likes them mounted upside down, and I agree with him. Now that I've run them like this for a while, I think he's right. I think they leak less like this. So I appreciate him moving all that stuff around for me and doing that. But we're going to do the same thing to this one, then we're going to do the same thing to that one as far as that refilling process that I showed you just a minute ago. And once I get that done, I'll come back with everything done and show you the damping on the front end. And then this one will be completed. So I'll be right back. All right, so we're back with 40 weight oil all around. I removed the preload rings that were put on by Crawler Canyon because I don't think they're necessary now. He does sit about at the height that he was with the preload rings now, because that oil does cause those shocks to be more of the shaft exposed at ride height. So I think we kind of solved the problem that we had with sitting too low. The center skid was getting hung up quite a bit, so we did raise the ride height a little bit, just a couple of millimeters. It wasn't a lot, but you can see the damping now is maybe just a little over damped. We made one last change. So this is what we started with. Team Losi 20 blue, right? This is what we went to. This is just some Associated 40 weight. We went with that all the way around. And we removed the preload bands that were on the front to get him back down to the ride height that I wanted. And he still wasn't quite down to that ride height. I still didn't like it. So we made one more change. We went to more Team Losi 30 weight in the front. And that is allowing him to sit down where I want him to in the front. Honestly, we would be at 40 weight we would be at the 30 weight all the way around, but these are a pain to change. And I mean, the 40 weight is keeping the ride height where I want it in the rear, so he might be slightly over damped in the rear. I think he's perfectly damped in the front, but he might be slightly over damped in the rear. But for now, we're going to run it like this. We're going to see how it goes. I think it'll be fine, but you can watch the drop on the front axle, watch the drop on the individuals. So it's faster now, right? That's definitely faster than it was with the 40 weight in it. Same thing for the rear. So you see that drop is slower on both sides than it is in the front. However, as I said, his ride height is like perfect now. He's just below Link's level. So when I say links, I mean the front lower links. So the front lower links, the way he's sitting with the battery and the body is right about there. The lower front links are not level. They're actually at an incline from the skid up to the axle, just slightly. If we raise him up, right about there's Link's level, and he's sitting just, I mean, like a millimeter below that, which I think is perfect. He sits higher than he did. He sits about at the height where Mr. C had adjusted him with those preload bands. So I got rid of those and basically did it through oil weight. And I think that's a better solution. That way I don't have to worry about any preload bands. So he's got good bag in the tires. Again, these are those Slonsky inserts from Team Revolt. And we're going to have to get him out and drive him and find out if this is what we're going to stick with. I think if any changes come later, it's going to be to wrestle these back off and put 30 weight in those. But and then another quick note on shock oil. So whenever I go to buy shock oil, I am looking for Team Losi. And the reason I'm looking for Team Losi really is the colors, right? Because I'm bad at writing things down. I should write things down, but I don't. But the Team Losi shock oil, at least a good number of the different weights are colored. So that way, whenever you, because again, I don't write things down, and these are both clear. The 40 Team Associated, and the associated ones typically are all clear. The 30 weight of Losi happens to be clear as well. But I like to have that colorant in there because I don't write things down and I don't remember what shock oil is in a given shock on a given rig. So if I notice that it's underdamped or overdamped and I want to change it, then when I go back and tear that shock apart and pour the oil out, if it comes out blue, I go, oh yeah, that's right. That's Team Losi 20 weight. If it comes out kind of a reddish color, I go, oh yeah, that's 15 weight, right? If it comes out that green kind of color, oh yeah, that's Losi 25. If it comes out clear, you got to take your fingers and kind of try to give it the old and try to figure it out, or just guess. Right now I only have 2 clears, so it's either 30 or 40, which is a little bit helpful. But I end up with a lot of associated shock oil that's all clear because the Team Losi is sold out a lot, and I am impatient, so I end up buying the associated when it's available and the Team Losi is not available. So that's how we get multiple manufacturer shock oil.